Elephants have existed in the Indian subcontinent for millions of years. They lived here in a wild state, roaming through the jungles, mostly undisturbed. As human populations grew over the centuries, they came into more contact with people, and domestication began as early as 6000 BC. People formed sometimes unique relationships with elephants, using them for entertainment, work, and religious practices that are today seen as cruel and unnecessary by many. In only 100 years, the elephant population of some 60,000 that roamed the Indian forest has been reduced by 2/3 to a mere 20,000 remaining in the wild. In addition, domesticated elephants continue to suffer, performing various duties for humans. Recently, Wildlife SOS, an NGO formed to protect and rescue elephants and other wildlife, has found itself dealing with both the treatment of work elephants, captured and abused by humans, as well as finding solutions for human-wild elephant conflict brought on by ever-shrinking forest habitats.
A few years ago, we got to know about a huge coal mine in the state of Orissa. The mouth of the coal mine was a mile across the diameter. Now that disturbed the corridors and the migration routes of elephant herds. And these elephants had no choice but to move to an adjoining state called Chhattisgarh, which is in central India. Now that state had not had wild elephants for about 100 years. So people living there had no idea what it was like to live in the vicinity of wild elephant herds. People got careless, they didn't realize the risk that involved living in close proximity to elephants, and there were a lot of accidents. We had over 90 human fatalities in a very short period of time. That was catastrophic for the state. So the Forest Department contacted us and asked us to collaborate with them to find a solution for saving human lives, but also there was a huge amount of demand from the local communities that those elephants be poisoned, they be killed, and they be destroyed. And we didn't want that happening. The problem is that people are terrified of elephants on the ground because elephants can be dangerous, they can damage property, they can accidentally kill people. And I've seen people who've been killed by elephants. It can be quite devastating. I think that fear drives people to do whatever they can to drive wild elephants away.
Wildlife SOS founders, Kartik and Geeta, decided there had to be a plan of action where local communities could be informed about the location of these wild elephants.
I think our project in Chhattisgarh, where we work with wild elephants, is invaluable because for the first time, the people in that state of Chhattisgarh were exposed to elephants in their landscape. And the work that we had to do was pioneering work in the sense that we had to educate people in elephant behavior. We had to teach them avoidance behavior to stay out of the way of the elephants. And we had to also, same time, think of a compensation scheme by which when they had crop damage and when they lost their huts and their simple belongings, how could we help them to restart their lives again so that they would not bear a grudge against these elephants that were actually just seeking food and water and had been displaced from their own native place, so to say, or their corridors.
And it involved getting groups together, doing show and tell sessions, workshops with the local communities, getting small young men from each community to come together, create WhatsApp groups so we could get them on the ground to get them aware about the location of elephants. Now, how do we get them locations of elephants? That was a very key thing. So we could only do that if we could put a collar, a satellite collar, on an elephant. And we found it took us weeks and weeks and weeks. It's not easy. You can't just walk up to an elephant herd, find the matriarch and say, hey, here, kitty, kitty, let's put the collar on you. It doesn't work that way. It's bloody dangerous.
Wildlife SOS formed the Chhattisgarh Elephant Project. Working with the Forest Department, they came up with a plan to use radio collars on wild elephants, keeping local communities informed about the location of these herds. The idea was to track herd movements and issue alerts to the villages. The initial plan was to radio collar Ban Devi, the matriarch of 19 elephants. Training took place over weeks before actually going out into the field.
We had to get teams on the ground from our staff who would be willing to take the risk to go and radio collar these elephants.
Preparations began on a road on the edge of the forest. Tranquilizing darts were made ready. Now they just had to locate the herd and matriarch in these fragmented Chhattisgarh forests.
Putting collars on the wild elephants in Chhattisgarh was extremely dangerous, mainly because of the terrain. It was very flat. It did not give much cover to our team as they were tracking the elephants. And elephants are so sensitive and wary of anything new in their environment, and they hear really well. So for the team to be tracking them all the time, it was really very difficult.
Facing constant danger, they tracked the herd for days. But their first attempt to tranquilize the big female proved challenging. Having to fire a tranquilizing dart into a moving herd is less than ideal. Wrong angle. The dart did not penetrate the elephant's tough skin. Next, they tried during the monsoon months, when elephants traditionally come out of the forest. But the second attempt was met with angry attacks by the guardian elephants in the herd. Undaunted by potentially deadly attacks, the team continued, traversing miles of jungle, facing oppressive heat and rain and the ever-present elephants and their erratic behaviour.
Yeah, today morning we got the news that the elephant finished the crop raiding and migrated towards the forest, and we located that area, then did tracking. More than 4 kilometers we went inside the forest. We spot the elephant, but the elephants keep moving. So we are just waiting to settle the elephant rather than going beyond and provoke them going further beyond the limit. So now we decided to stay in this area and let the animal to select their own place and make rest. Then we are proceed further.
So our team had to walk in the forest on the ground with these elephants roaming around, which is extremely risky, for weeks before we could find the right opportune moment to tranquilize and dart the female matriarch.
Finally, they reached the herd and were able to isolate the matriarch.
Now the team is approaching there. We hopefully do the collar today. Now the animal is spotted and freezed from an area. Now the team going to assess the anesthetic setup. We hope to make it soon.
Then to get the matriarch in an isolated position where she wasn't surrounded by a herd, that was again challenging.
Given all the underbrush, the veterinary doctor needs to be sure he has a clean shot, getting the tranquilizing needle into the female elephant. The amount of sedation required for these tranquilizing darts has to be carefully measured out.
We followed them for weeks, got them tranquilized. It was a very intricate process of getting the right level of calibration because we did not want the elephants to collapse when they got tranquilized. We did not want them down. We wanted standing sedation. Now that's a very critical process.
Once the elephant is darted, the team has to approach cautiously, confirming her level of sedation.
So we had this female, this matriarch who leads the herd, tranquilized, and then we had to blindfold her so she wouldn't get excited by the stimulation around her, and then put the radio collar on her. And you can imagine this is a wild elephant. It's not a captive, domesticated, trained animal at all.
The standing sedation we had to do because we didn't want her down. We wanted her to be up and gone the moment we got the collar on her. Yes, it was extremely dangerous all round, but it was successful.
Working as quickly as they can, they attach the large elephant collar with just the right fit. Not too tight, so it might impede the animal, or too loose, so it could fall off. Water is applied to keep her cool. Next, a microchip is implanted and a reversal agent is given to bring her back around. Finally, they have to ensure the transmitter on top is positioned correctly and functioning. The idea is the location signal is sent out from the elephant's transmitter and is picked up on cell phones via microwave relay towers. News of the elephant's arrival is spread via social media apps.
And we withdrew, we gave her the reversal, and she was back with the herd, you know, before we could say Jack Robinson. And then we had the ability to track and actually say exactly down to maybe 4 meters where that elephant herd was heading. And once we knew that location, we were able to then populate our WhatsApp groups with the communities and telling them, well, this elephant herd is now heading in your direction. This is the trajectory. They are 3 kilometers from village so-and-so, and 2 kilometers from this village, and 1.3 kilometers from this village. So all of you get out with your pots and pans, and so we had trained them in how they could come out and do distractions. So, you know, a village and its fields, which are ripe with crop, are an attractant for wild elephant herds, and we had to get them distracted. So if an elephant sees, or an elephant herd sees, that there's a lot of people out there making noise with their pans, pots and ladles, then the elephants don't head in that direction. We also gave them some lights and other noise-making devices that they could use. So the elephants say, well, that's a noisy place, I don't want to go there, and they head off to the nearest forest, and that helped save human lives and the elephants' lives as well, because people understood that, okay, this is one way, it's a low-tech way, but we are able to keep the elephants away from us. So we are able to marry, you know, the technology of using a satellite collar, creating an early warning alert system, so the local communities could understand how they could avoid those nasty encounters. And that became, you know, a great mitigation effort from our side.
Anything to change the direction of the herd from their crops and their homes. They can also seek relief by getting onto highland, away from the passage of the herd, because a spooked herd can sometimes be more dangerous and they pick up speed, and we don't want people getting caught there. So altogether, having the herd collared allows us to decide which strategy is the best, and then the villagers we've been talking to them, we've set up a leader in the village, a person who's going to tell them, now we shouldn't panic, this is what we're going to do, whether it's going to be noise or light or fires, or we just get out of the way because the herd is moving too fast for us to do anything. Let's get on to higher ground. And it has had a fantastic success in that it's lowered the death rate, the injuries to people, and that was the main thing we were trying to do, was to stop getting people killed.
In addition to helping solve human-elephant conflict issues, Wildlife SOS helps troubled, captive elephants. The work it does in the wild can help prevent the capture of elephants and subsequent cruel treatment. Across India, Wildlife SOS has established 3 elephant conservation and care centres and a treatment unit. Their goal is to provide medical treatment and love to bring these elephants back into a happy state of existence. They also rescue, treat and care for elephants exploited in the abusive tourism and begging elephant trade. Recently, such an elephant came to their attention. Nina, a 60-year-old blind elephant who for years had been exploited for use in traditional weddings and as entertainment. These years took a huge toll on her appearance and mental well-being.
She was experiencing severe cruelty and extreme discomfort. And obviously, the joyful wedding guests were completely oblivious and unaware of her agony.
Nina's days were filled with torment as she was dragged by rope to walk on hot, tarred roads. This was worsened by her complete loss of vision. Shockingly, it may have been done when she was stabbed in the eyes with a bullhook. This cruelty is mostly inflicted to deceive onlookers to gain their sympathy, to dupe them for money.
Being blind and weak, she collapsed, but did not receive any medical attention, leaving her severely handicapped and compromised. She could barely move her right hind leg and needed urgent medical care.
Similar to Nina, the suffering of begging elephants is masked through brightly coloured paints and traditional beliefs that make people overlook their misery. Elephants are made to stand on concrete floors, sometimes in their own dung and urine. Not only is that degrading and unsanitary, but this can also cause medical problems such as arthritis, abscesses and foot rot. Their feet are tightly restrained. The spike chains that dig into their flesh cause excruciating pain. This is the painful life of hundreds of captive elephants living in the shadows, facing torment and exploitation every day. This had been Nina's harsh reality for nearly 6 decades. She was reduced to a mere prop for wedding processions and was forced to beg on the streets. Elephants have excellent hearing, but the combined cacophony of loudspeakers and firecrackers caused severe and unimaginable trauma to Nina.
And when I heard about Nina from our field investigators, I discussed it with the team and we immediately dispatched a Wildlife SOS team.
They had to meticulously arrange an undercover operation. Make one wrong step and her owner would have fled and they would have lost Nina to the darkness.
Wildlife SOS has a team of several field investigators and a large network of undercover informers who are on the lookout and monitoring various elephants. They gather intelligence about elephants and other wildlife in distress across India.
A team of veterinarians and elephant caregivers were determined to reach Nina in time. They had to prepare support vehicles and heavy transport, sanitising them inside and out and providing Nina with fresh cut tall grass.
The elephant ambulance that we use is always disinfected before it embarks on an elephant rescue operation. This is primarily important to ensure that the animal that we are going to be rescuing is not exposed to any kind of contamination from any other animal that we previously transported in that ambulance. The Wildlife SOS team and the elephant ambulance with a complete convoy of 3 vehicles traveled over 600 kilometers, which took us nearly 30 hours for the round trip.
Finally, they reached the pickup location.
We had to perform a highly dangerous undercover operation to secure Nina's safety, and one wrong move could have resulted in her disappearing, and we'd never have been able to find her again.
The Wildlife SOS veterinary team began an initial inspection of Nina to get a general sense of her condition. Then it was time to remove one of the symbols of her oppression, the saddle whose punishing weight with riders had taken its toll. When it came to load her onto the truck, special methods had to be employed.
Despite having endured years of injustice and torture at the hands of people, Nina still consented to our team's approach. She'd never been inside a truck, and she was blind in both eyes. So when she sensed the elephant ambulance was in front of her, she initially felt a little anxious. However, as soon as our seasoned elephant caregivers encouraged her by providing treats accompanied with reassuring words, she started feeling comfortable. And once she was relaxed and reassured, she then boarded the elephant ambulance in her own time. And we were completely patient with her. We just wanted Nina to start her healing journey as soon as possible. Our team drove real slow so she wasn't jarred about in the back. And we also stopped frequently to ensure we could buy fresh supplies of fruits, vegetables, green grass. So her journey was comforted, and our main aim during the trip was to keep her comfortable and hydrated. We had to rescue her. We couldn't leave an elephant in this condition, suffering. And we worked closely with the forest department, the police, and other enforcement agencies to facilitate her rescue. Our team worked day and night so we could successfully save Nina's life. And when the elephant ambulance eventually arrived at the Elephant Hospital campus, our caregivers helped Nina exit the vehicle gently. And as Nina put her first steps down on the Elephant Hospital campus, she lifted her trunk and identified the new smells around her. I'm sure she smelled a lot of happy elephants already at the facility. It would have been a reassuring thing for her. It was also a very historical day for this gentle giant as she set one foot and then another and made her way into her forever home, far away from the cruelty, abuse and pain of her former life.
When Nina arrived at the Elephant Hospital campus in Mathura, she was severely underweight and malnourished. Removal of her riding bell marked the beginning of her healing. Their veterinary team gave her some time to settle into her new surroundings before beginning with her diagnosis.
Our team is already working on giving her every kind of medical attention possible to help her not gain weight, which will create a problem for her weak joints and feet, but ensure that her nutrition helps build strength for Nina.
Initial examinations revealed that Nina was suffering from severe osteoarthritis in her hind legs. Wildlife SOS vets believe this was due to an unhealed injury after falling into an open ditch or from a possible collision. Nina's spinal region also had swelling and inflammation owing to the weight of the saddle, which had cut through her flesh.
And with regards to her eyes, it's really something that's been worrying us. We even consulted with an international ophthalmologist, a veterinary ophthalmologist from the UK, who consulted with us over video call, and we've done an ultrasound of her eye. As of now, it doesn't look like we can do much. It looks like too much damage has already been done to her eye, which is sad. But we're hoping we can actually invite a specialist to come down and check her eye completely, and hope that, we can give her whatever comfort that we can and whatever comfort that's possible.
Since being rescued in 2021, Nina's life has taken a positive turn, and in the care of Wildlife SOS, Nina's health witnessed remarkable improvements. Regular treatment for the footpad abscess on her right hind limb and laser therapy massages to combat the joint-related problems provided ample relief to Nina.
She continues to remain still very fragile, but she's shown a lot of improvement gradually. Since her arrival in 2021. When we rescued her, she was left with an inflamed spine. She came to us with ulcerative wounds, chronic osteoarthritis, and a severely ankylosed right hind leg. While her vision cannot be restored ever, but we use a lot of laser therapy, regular medical foot baths, pedicure treatments, and other medical procedures to help her with her healing journey. Nina now has complete access to good nourishment, medical care, and other TLC that she'd been denied her whole life. Having been deprived of proper nutrition all her life, Nina loves to gorge on fresh fruits like watermelon, papaya, coconuts, and cucumbers. And her diet is now routinely checked and calibrated by a team of veterinarians.
Unfortunately, Nina suffered during her long years as a begging elephant. But at least no matter the ultimate outcome during her final years, she was allowed to once again experience some degree of good health, living in a free and peaceful environment.
Wildlife SOS runs a petition called Refuse to Ride, and the website is refusetoride.org. And this is a site that empowers everybody who reads it, whether you're a tourist or someone who cares about elephants. This website advocates the freedom of India's elephants from such cruel conditions of slavery. Please take a look at this website and sign the petition if you can. Spread it amongst your friends and your family and have more people join this movement to help India's elephants. Thank you.